Speaking about setting the tone, that's exactly what they did this past week. 4 games, 4 wins. We're not going to go through each and every one of them, but as a whole, I mean, simply a great week for the Komets. I want to take a look at the numbers. They outscored their opponents 23-10, so you're only giving up 2.5 goals a game. Absolutely a great week, and it's reflected not only in the record, but also in the weekly awards for the IHL.
Yeah, Leo Thomas is the player of the week, and Sean O'Connor is the rookie of the week, and Nick Boucher is the goaltender of the week. You know, we kind of wondered last week. They were 3-2-1 in their last 6 games, even though they'd had those great specialty team numbers. Were they going to be able to pick it back up? And they kind of did. I mean, they gave up, out of those 10 goals, I think they probably gave up 6 or 7 of them after they'd already had a 3 or 4 goal lead each time. So they did really pick it up. They do need to tighten down the defense some. I mean, and it's kind of a natural thing. Once you're up by 3 or 4, you're going to let up. But that is something that you need to tighten up yet.
You have to feel pretty good about the way they're clicking offensively, because in 3 of those 5 games, it's 5 or more goals. And, you know, that's where you really want to be clicking, I guess, at this point in the season. Yeah,
but I still think this team's going to win a title. If they're going to win a title, it's going to be on the defensive end. I really believe that. I mean, we saw in Dayton, against Dayton Wednesday night, where they kind of fell apart a little bit at the end there. And then, I guess that was Muskegon. And then they did the same thing Friday night against Dayton, where they got up big and then they let up. And they kind of did it yesterday against Quad City, too. It's fine right now, but realize it and then fix it. Because I truly believe you're not going to beat Muskegon in a shootout. You're not going to be able to outscore them 8-4 like you can Quad City or you can Dayton. And if that's who they face in the finals, if they get through to the finals, that's a big adjustment.
They had the big shutout against them on Wednesday night. No Bouchard in that one, though, which obviously takes a big piece of the puzzle out for the Muskegon offense. As far as defense goes, we don't really know exactly what the situation is with Tim Hahn. So could you enlighten us on what
I'm not sure that there's any situation with Tim Hahn. I talked to Tim last night, and he said he was fine, and he was planning on playing this week. And he's going to skate tomorrow in practice. I got nothing to report on that. He told me he was fine and ready to go.
Boucher's obviously playing very well. 11 straight starts, though. It's got to wear on you at some point.
It does, but if you look back the last couple of years, Nick did the same thing, and he loves it. I mean, he just gets in a great rhythm, and it might be nice to rest him one game this week, and if you activate Hahn or not, maybe you throw Trevor Koenig in for a game just to see what he can do. Because it's not going to affect them too much in the standings right now. They've already clinched second place. It's going to take a miracle with a lot of help to catch Muskegon for first place and give Nick a rest and keep PC away from him. He got him again yesterday in warm-ups. He got him up high, and I was like, oh, brother. PC the goalie killer. He's got to stay away from shooting up high on his own goalies.
And talking about injuries, Brad McMillan, where is he? What can we expect?
Brad's ready to go. I watched him last week in practice, and he was great, and his shot was just as strong as it's been. He's ready to go. Bobby Phillips has an upper body injury, they're calling it. I think it's probably bruised ribs. I mean, that's kind of a fair guess. And he's hurting right now. He needs the time off, and Bobby's going to be a big playoff factor as well. But he needs to rest up and get healthy.
3 games this week, a couple against Quad City and 1 against Flint. How do they stay sharp? Because Quad City obviously isn't going to be to the caliber of the teams that they're going to be seeing in the playoffs. But how do they stay sharp to get ready for another Turner Cup run?
I'm not sure. I mean, that's an honest answer because, you know, we've been talking about for weeks they need to pick it up and they need to be a little sharper in this area or that area. And that hasn't really been happening. I mean, they've been scoring so much that it hasn't been a factor. It's a good thing that they've been scoring, but it's kind of hard to how do you really tighten that area up when these other teams just are not that much of a threat? They might have one line that can hurt you, and I think it'll be more interesting this week to see how Justin Hodgman fits in, how McMillan fits back in. You know, does Timmy play? Let's get those guys up to speed, and maybe that helps take care of the rest of that too.
You take a look at the 4th straight year they've gone over 100 points, 6 of the last 7. Just talk about the consistent excellence.
This is the greatest era in the Komets' history. I mean, statistically, if you go back and look at it, they got a chance to get 50 wins again for the I think it's the 4th time in 6 years or something like that, and they've had 100 points 6 out of 7 years. There's no other era in Komets history that's had that kind of production that consistently. And if you think about it, and you look at it, they've done it with Greg Puhalski, and they've done it with Pat Bingham, and they did it with Al Sims now. And you look at the turnover on the roster. Colin Chalk left and came back, and PC left and came back, and Kevin Bertrand left and came back. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's just remarkable that they've been able to be that consistent. Muskegon's been just about that good as well. They've had a great run too, and Port Huron's been very solid the last few years too. So it's not like they've just done it against any Tom, Dick, and Harry out there. It's been against some good competition that way too.
Final question. I want to get your take on the playoffs, the way that the series lines up. You're talking the 1-1-1-1-1 games.
Yeah, lots of drive time. Thank you very much.
Right, I know you're going to be appreciating that, putting some miles on the car. Does that favor the Komets? Does it matter? Does it favor a team that plays well on the road like the Komets do?
The conventional thinking is that a 1-1-1 format favors the team that does not have the home ice advantage, because all they got to do is win one. I mean, and it's not like you have to beat a team back-to-back at home. The great X factor in all this is Nick Boucher is 12-2 at Port Huron since he's been a Komet. I mean, there is the home ice advantage factor right there, and the guys have a ton of confidence in Nick that he's going to play well. And he may not win every game up there in the playoffs, but he's going to win one. So the pressure's right back on Port Huron then, that they've got to win 2 games in Fort Wayne to take that series. So as long as you've got Nick in that, and you've got Justin Hodgman, who is a Port Huron killer, and Port Huron lost Adam Russo this week. He's going to the World Championships too. Even though he was 1-4 against Fort Wayne, we all know the problems that Larry Sterling has had too, and the situation with Larry and the Komets and the Komets fans. There's a lot of factors involved in this that really start to. The Komets are not a lock in that series, but they've got to feel really good going in. And please don't underestimate Port Huron. Stan Drulli has been around a long time. He's got something up his sleeve. It's going to be a trap versus trap series, and both sides will make adjustments. Yeah,
so only 3 more games until we get to the postseason. And keep it tuned to Wayne.com and Wayne TV, and also keep looking at the News Sentinel and your blog, Tailing the Komets. Always good stuff as soon as it comes in. Well, he's Blake Sebring. I'm Glenn Marini, and thanks for logging on to Wayne.com.